So even though we're in Tokyo, we have a hotel room tonight, and the reason that we have a hotel room is because we wanted to go to the Tsukiji fish market.
Which is also in Chuo-Ku.
Yeah, which happens to be in this area. And the thing about that is, when we researched this, it said that you got to get there you got to get there super early if you want to get in. They only let 120 people in like during the morning auction time.
And it said like 5 a.m. is registration.
Yeah. So we were like, okay, the trains aren't running. We won't be able to make it there from our apartment. I've thought about this. For what we paid for the hotel, we could have just taken a taxi.
Oh, wow.
That just struck me. But it doesn't matter because we swung by there on the way to have dinner, and just to find where the place was and make sure that we weren't gonna have trouble finding like where you have to go to for the registration and all that. By the way, you can't pre-register any of this. You can only do it day of. And there's a sign on the door there that says like you gotta be there at 2:15 in the morning. Instead of 5. Like they've covered up the normal time with like a piece of like taped on new time. So
new time.
Yeah, like so the time that they said online is not accurate. So now we have a hotel room that we can't not have because we've already basically paid for it via the internet, and we got to be at this place at 2 in the morning. At this point, I would have rather have just stayed up, I guess, but that's not what's going to be happening. So we're on our way to a hotel now to basically hang out for a couple hours and grab a shower, and then from there we're going to just go to this fish market and hope we get a ticket. And then when we get in, it's weird. The rules are all over the place, like on this place. So we're not even sure if we're going to be able to make video while we're there or not. I'm not clear on that yet, or I have no idea what's going to happen. So it's a bit of a mystery and a bit of an adventure. Katie, after the fish market, has to go to work because tomorrow's Monday. So
No. Let me explain my life a little bit. Last night, I got a bit of insomnia going on lately, and I say that in like the sense not that I am forcing myself to stay up. Like I literally can't go to sleep. I got some health stuff, and the health stuff is like, you never need to sleep anymore. Okay, great. But work doesn't like that, or Katie at work doesn't like that. Like Katie on the later base does not like that. Anywho, so last night I was probably up until 2:30. Woke up around 7:45 this morning, and then tonight
basically
probably
no
won't
sleep.
be sleeping.
Yeah.
And then I'll be going to work. And
Don't forget the fish market.
yes, don't forget the fish market. And then I'll probably go home and not sleep anymore. I think sleeping for me is just, you don't need this stuff
Become
anymore.
optional.
I'm like evolved past sleeping. Awesome.
We're at our hotel. It's an Appa hotel. It's just a chain. Probably not going to be anything super interesting, but let's explore together, shall we? Let's see.
Always
Insert
fun.
room key.
Wow, that was quick.
And this looks like every other business hotel I think I've ever been in Japan. A bed. Oh, hey. That's pretty super Japanese.
Yep, I've been at a few of them now.
Yeah.
And we're in Tokyo, so I think they expect a good number of foreigners.
Yeah, it's a bit of. Is that what that? You think it's a foreigner thing? You think they only give those to foreigners?
No, I think it's just like
It's fun.
pride in them.
Fair enough. So yeah, a bed, there's a TV, and let's check the bathroom. You're going the wrong way.
Oh man!
Yeah. All right. So oh, it's really clean though. Like toilet, shower, tiny bathtub. The works. That's normal stuff. Did you find anything in here that you found to be noteworthy? It's quiet.
So far, it's quiet. So far.
What kind of party you got planned?
Oh, I didn't have a party planned. I just assumed that everyone around me would have a party planned because that's usually what happens. But I'm hoping for a nice chill evening.
For a couple of hours.
Till 2 a.m.
What time is it?
8.
Okay, so it's 1:40 in the morning now, and we are walking to the fish market.
And we are...
You are.
Oh, I'm just annoyed. This is really stupid. It's really stupid.
It's basically what I came down to yesterday when I was thinking about this is that it's just they act like, hey, this isn't a tourist thing. So, like, they seem almost annoyed that there's tourism there, but then they're also like, but here's people that can come in. Like, it's this tourist thing that they're annoyed the tourists are there about, and they've made this really cruddy system to make it really difficult to get there, and moving times around and all that. Like, either if they don't want it to be a tourist thing, don't let tourists in. Don't just hassle them. The whole thing is just really strange the way this is being dealt with. It's so very un-Japanese.
If you are going to let people in, make it humane.
Yeah, like, so the sign outside this guy's door said 2:15. So everybody knows that now. So does that mean everybody's getting there 2 hours before that? Like, what do you do? So we left a few minutes early. We're gonna get there about half an hour before the guy's sign said to be there, but what if there's already 120 people there? Like, just screw you. Like, you shouldn't have spent money on that hotel and tried all this. It's just really weird. But anyway, without getting too gripey about it, we're on our way. It's easily the earliest I believe I've ever had to like set an alarm. Or latest. We were trying to decide, was this an early or late alarm? I don't know.
It's the earliest we've had to set an alarm for a 5 o'clock thing.
Yeah.
Like, you won't be able to get in, and you don't really have to do any pre-stuff until 5 o'clock. But you need to be here at 2.
Yeah. It's just bizarre.
It's bizarre.
So anyway, I'm assuming there's probably already going to be a line, and just hope there's not too many people in it. Alright, so this is the whole system is interesting, let's put it that way. We got here just before 2, and I don't know, maybe there was like 30 or so people in front of us, something like that. And it's kind of interesting because we were here last night at like 8 p.m. or something to check a place out, like I'd mentioned before, and there were people working and stuff there, but it was much more alive right now. Like, there's forklifts moving around, and there's like all that stuff is happening, and there's trucks coming in, and people on motorbikes are getting here to work at like 2 in the morning and all that. It's kind of cool to see that this place lives on like its own timeline and everything, you know, getting ready to get the fish going. And so we stood there until about 2:15, and then they moved us into this building and gave us these vests, and I know why they have these vests. You'll see that later, hopefully. And so then they shuffled us in this building, and then they had us sit down. And like I had suspected, they aren't going to give us a ticket and like, hey, you got a ticket, come back when the tour happens. We got to wait. So we got here just before 2. We got into the building at about 2:15, 2:20. And we had to sit here on the floor with all these randos until 5:25 when the tour starts. So it's a pretty interesting system that they've set up here. But all right, so I'm lucky because I got some wall to lean against, so I'm doing all right. But I'll spin this camera around and you can see the situation we're in. It's kind of like a refugee thing going on.
Yep.
Fish market refugee thing going on. So this is what we're working with. And that's all of our group. And on the other side of the room, there seems to be another group forming with people with green blazers, and they have vests. And their tour starts at 5:40. Yeah, blazers. I'm tired. My brain is misfiring all the words it needs and everything. But something I realized, like, also we didn't explain. This is, I think, the biggest fish market in the world. And there's a bit of a situation happening with it right now where the city's trying to move it, but there's this big economy that's built up around the fish market with all this like tourism that's happening. Like, there's tons of shops and stuff to sell fish in the area, and it's tied to the fish market. So the local community is upset about it. So there's like this delay where they're not moving it, and they're worried about some health problem at the other location they're trying to move it to. And there's something about it. They're thinking that the market might fracture into 2 pieces. It's like all this craziness, and this is like we're kind of in the middle of it. And we thought that the market was going to close at the end of the month, but I don't think it is anymore. I think that some delay has like caused a problem. So maybe that's part of the reason there's such a rush of people to come and see this, is because people are worried like, oh, it's not going to exist anymore. So if you do plan on coming to here, like, Google it and make sure this market exists before you come and stand in the line at 2 in the morning. Also, as a side note, it is just now 2:30, and it does not seem as if the admission is full, because people are just showing up now and they're still filling up that second group. So you could just show up right now and you could get in. So again, it's just like when it's impossible to tell what time to show up at all. Like to even have like a 3-hour window of a guest. I'm interested to see what time they close that off. And if it closes off at 5, it's gonna be like, why is there a sign that says 2:15? Like, what is going on here? But I mean, I guess it's impossible for them to tell exactly how many people are gonna come. Like somebody could show up with like a busload full of like tourists and just like wipe out an entire group, I suppose. But I don't know. I think the solution to this would just be use the internet and have pre-booking. And like if they have to charge you for that, you know, they charge everybody $10 or something, so that they have the administration costs of everything finished. It seems like it would make it a whole lot smoother. But again, like they try to say this isn't a tourist thing. However, I'm a tourist and I'm here, so it's all very ambiguous and strange.
On the floor.
So just hit 3:15, and it looks like the last people that they're going to allow to go on the tour today have come in. They've run out of like little jackets to give out. And the room is pretty full. I can't imagine that you're allowed to have this many people in this room, but I don't know. So let's see, we've got 3:15, we've got 2 hours and 10 more minutes, and then we get to go on our tour. This is pretty nuts. There was not really a rule, apparently, that we had to stay in that little room, even though it really kind of felt like you were supposed to stay in the room. And eventually people started like drifting out to these vending machines and stuff. And now instead of being like squeezed in this tiny little room, like we've just come outside and we're just chilling, and like all this like fish activity is going on behind us. But something cool they had a dude that like is one of the fish auctioneer guys, like the dude that works between the wholesalers and the restaurants. And they had him come in, and he spoke like very good English and gave an explanation of like what his day is like, and like what it's like to like be a fish salesman basically, and how he's done this for 19 years, and how he like gets a little piece of the fish every day that he's gonna sell to Tuna, and then he gets a little piece and he like tastes it and decides like, oh, this is worth this much, and then they auctions off to the customers and all that. And like he said there were 700 other people that do his job.
700 other bidders.
This is a huge operation, of course. Like I said, I think it's the biggest thing that they've got going, period. And then he took, or the biggest fish market in the world is what I meant by that. And then he took some questions from people and stuff, and you asked him about them they're supposed to move the market. I believe I talked about that in the video, right?
Yeah. So I asked him how he felt about the market moving, and he said that he felt sad because it's going to lose its history if it moves.
Yeah.
And I think he's really right.
Yeah, it seems like this huge part of Tokyo, to be honest with you, in a way. And it'll be interesting if they do move that. But again, he mentioned that they, at the last minute, the government decided not to move it for now. And now it's just kind of like hanging in the who knows what's going to happen period. Like, nobody really knows, which is probably pretty frustrating if your entire livelihood depends on this market.
So in the Japanese fashion that we're used to, where things happen on time and not at really weird unscheduled times, they trucked us out of the room right at the time we were supposed to leave. And they took us outside, and all these like little scooter truck things are moving around, and they're zooming around. I don't know how many times they told us to just stop, and you've just got to stop wherever you are and let them go because they're moving. And this place is fully operational right now. Don't get in the way, it'll hurt. Now we're in the tuna auctions area, and people are doing their jobs, as you can see, and the honkies be watching them do their jobs, and I'm a honky.
What's funny is all the honkies have come here to see the spectacle, but in a sense, all the honkies watching the spectacle is the real spectacle. It's pretty weird, like we're just watching some fish dudes do fish stuffs. How strange is that? Most of what's going on in here right now, it seems to be, is like evaluation of the fish that have come in. And these guys, they've cut the tails off of the fish, and they've turned the tail up so they can see the color of the meat that's inside of the tail. And then people who are not the auctioneer, but the guys that are working as the middle person between the wholesalers and the end customers are walking around with these with these hooks and they're scraping the tail and they're looking at like what color things are, I guess. I mean, they're doing whatever fish magic these guys can do, and they're figuring out like, okay, this fish is worth like this much or whatever, and I can sell it for this much, and I guess they're gonna buy it from the wholesalers or something that's gonna auction it off, and then they sell it to their end seller. So all these dudes are kind of competing with each other in a sense to get like the best price for the fish, but they got to know how much they can resell it for and stuff. So I wonder if there's communication before the auction takes place with their customers, like, hey, I've got this type of fish, I can sell it for you this much. They know how much that is, they know how much they can buy it for, etc., etc. There's a lot going on in this like profession, and it seems like it could be a pretty complicated art. It's just, I don't even know how to explain any further. There's just so much going on that's hard to take in, like everything. And there's quite a few people doing it, and they all have got special licenses that they've had to get through. Who knows what kind of magic that takes. I don't know if you have to get that from the government or whoever, but they've got special licenses that allow them to be resellers. Resellers, that's the word I was looking for.
I saw the inside.
Of what?
The tuna. Somebody came over here and he took his little hook and he flapped it open. I was like, I shouldn't be seeing this.
In the distance, I heard some auctioning happening a few minutes ago, but I'm kind of getting the feeling we're not going to get to see any actual auctioning as much as just the evaluation process. Kind of would be cool to see the auctioning, but I mean, I can't understand auctions in English. We got lucky right before they had us out of the auction room, and auction started that was pretty much right in front of us. And again, it's just as it would be in a English auction. I couldn't understand any of it except for when he was calling out the fish number and whatnot. But they have a system, and everybody there understands it. It was really, really cool to see firsthand. And then they usher everybody out of the room. They usher everybody out of the room, and then we go out into the madness that is the actual market system. And with all these little carts running around, there's these traffic jams happening, and like, we're just this extra part of the equation that doesn't need to be happening, basically. And like, nobody's like aiming for you, but they're not aiming for you. So like, you gotta like keep on your toes a little bit. It's pretty exciting to walk through there, and they've got these little carts that they're driving, and like, these little carts, these guys are buzzing around like all over the place. And they've got this giant pile of styrofoam, and they're like moving the styrofoam with these big machines, and the entire thing is just like completely chaotic. And it feels a lot like if you're trying to like cross the road in like Phnom Penh or something, like in Cambodia, and like there's just no rule or order to anything. That sort of feels like the same type of atmosphere.
Oh no, there was order, and it was just, the more fishy you are, the more important you are.
Is that what it was?
I think so. It's like the law of tonnage. This was the law of ocean items. Yeah.
And so we're done with the official tour part, and we're just now in the public market area. Inside of the complex that we were in, where the auction is, there is also a wholesale area that you can go to, but not until after 10 o'clock. And it is, I mean, it's like a fish market. I went there one time with a friend of mine, maybe earlier this year, I guess. And it's much more low key, it doesn't feel quite as intense, but it's still like, you gotta stay out of people's way, and it's not a tourist place, like people are working, you know? But right now, until 10 o'clock, they're not gonna let us in. And Katie's gotta go to work, so I think at the moment, we're just looking for breakfast, and then you're going to work? Is that what you're gonna do? What time is it? The sun came up.
Yeah, the sun came up, so yeah, I gotta go to work soon.
Is that how that works?
Life's hard.
What are you, a rooster?
I am a rooster.
We've come into the public market area where there's a bunch of like little restaurants, and you can buy fish like from a fish dude like there, like just as a normal person. And we've come here looking for breakfast, and we're looking for tuna for breakfast basically, and we found it. And the place that we found is a little bit off the main road. We came down like a little alleyway, like let's just kind of like try to get out of the area where all of the people are going to be, and maybe see if we can find something that's like hidden. And we found some place that it's got a pretty cool little atmosphere, and the price was tolerable. Some of the things out on the main drag were more expensive by quite a bit, so we found something kind of in the middle, I think. I've got a large bowl of tuna, and they've made it look like a flower, which is really neat. And I also got
Nice
some,
meat flour.
I got some egg here as well. Got a meat flour. That sounds really gnarly. And this was maybe about $14. And specifically interesting that I saw at this particular place, they said they have homemade soy sauce, which I thought was homemade. That's a thing you can home make. I thought it just came out of jars from factories, you know what I mean? But let's get down on some fish. I'm just gonna try it raw first, like no soy sauce. It's good. You know, yeah, actually, it's like a pretty good flavor. It's a pretty like not an explosive flavor, but it's like a rather full flavor. I'm gonna ruin that with wasabi and homemade soy sauce here in a minute. But yeah, I mean, it's exciting. It's better than the stuff I get at the sushi place down the street, or at least this atmosphere has tricked me into thinking that. I want to try the egg as well. This is often sweet. Yeah, that's really good. That's amazing. It's definitely sweet, and that's some of the best. That's some of the best I've had. This is the treat. This is what I paid the extra money for.
I decided that Eric was raving about his tamagoyaki, so I decided I was going to stop at one of the tamagoyaki shops. Like, this is what they make, and I ended up getting a dual pack. And there's a spicy one, and there is, what was it?
Oh, I don't remember. Green stuff. So it's yeah.
Well, we'll find out what those are, but I wanted to just mention, because Eric just told me about this, these shops that you're seeing, like where we ate our magarodon and here this tamagoyaki stand, this is what's going to be affected by the possible move of this market. These shops will be displaced. There won't be enough room for all of these shops, and that is terrible.
And I think the reason is they think they're going to build a highway through here.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I think so. They need to make room for a highway or something. But
wow. Okay.
so you can go with green one first?
Always.
Yeah, I'm gonna be interested if you can figure out what that is.
Spinach.
Is it spinach? Oh, okay. Very good.
The
You're so
flavor
good
of
at that.
this is outstanding.
Is it? I like that it's on a stick. It's like an egg popsicle.
Egg. All right, spicy. Got a little bit of kick. It's shichimi, I think.
No, really?
Yeah. So, 7 spices.
That's
Spicy slices. Delicious. Sweet, just like Eric was saying about the other place, even
But
though these are
sweet
different
and spicy,
places.
that's interesting.
Sweet and spicy and green. Yeah. So, I've been having to think since we went through this whole experience, both about the ward itself and Tsukiji Market. Tsukiji Market, I would say if the registration time is at 2:15, it's probably not worth it.
For the fish auction thing?
For the fish auction. I would say the most exciting thing about being able to go into that area was almost being hit by the little trucks. that was the
playing
most
traffic, you know we gotta get up early for that.
You honestly don't, and you might get to see those trucks rolling around anywhere. The auction was interesting, but it wasn't what I thought it was gonna be, or, you know...
What did you think it would be?
More. You'd see more. We saw one auction, and...
I mean, we saw the guys testing the fish and, like, getting the fish out with their hands and, like, warming it up and then, like, you know, hitting it with the thing and then buying the fish. I guess I didn't know what to expect at all. So I don't feel like I was disappointed with what you got out of it. I think that it's a bit confusing the way that the times change and stuff, and you feel like they think you're a pest, but then then this guy comes and he has this good talk with you, and then
I very much felt like we were an inconvenience, not only in the actual situation of being at the auction, but the whole process.
Yeah.
Like when we were making the line, when we got there at the time they told us to register, it just seemed like we needed to keep scooting up and scooting up. And we're an inconvenience. We're not supposed to be here.
However, then they're like, oh, and then we have this tourist stuff for you.
And they shoved us into that room, and that seemed like we were a real inconvenience. Like we found this little room for you, and when you go into the auction and you're almost getting hit by the things, it seems like, you know, we're not supposed to be here.
Yeah.
So it kind of all had that feel.
It was very unique, though. The whole experience was very unique. I can't think of anything to even compare it to. So in that sense, I think it was cool. I mean, and I don't think they should be like, you know, kissing my feet or anything, but it was just, it's weird how they're like, oh, we don't have a tourist thing, yet you're a tourist, you can come in, but it's inconvenient, yet here's a guy to talk to you in English about what's going on, yet I don't understand what to do. You don't, it's bizarre. It's just a really strange feeling. Like, do they want you here or not?
Yeah,
I can't tell. I can't tell. You know what I mean? They've got like all this infrastructure for it set up, but not. It's very weird. So I'm glad we did it, and it's something I've wanted to do since we've come here. I think I've known since we've lived in Japan about this, and I've known that it was going to be kind of a weird, kind of, I don't want to say headache, but a strange experience. So
I didn't think it was going to be that much.
Yeah,
no, it was a little shocking at times.
I totally think I was a little more prepared, just because I knew that was kind of what was going to happen. I really thought breakfast that we just had with that was amazing. It was really cool. So even if you don't make it to go to the tuna market, I
come
think
down here
and have some breakfast or something. Like that was really cool.
And the ward itself, there's stuff here, but I think there's other places to go, and obviously, like,
it's not a tourist ward.
It's not a tourist ward, but I mean, you've got the fish market here, you've got kabuki here, you've got a lot of things here, ginza, and I mean,
maybe it is a tourist
ward. So yeah, there are quite a lot of things, and it doesn't shine as big as other ones, but it's got attraction.
I'm glad we came here because I understand the ward a lot better.
Oh yeah.
I never thought that like Ginza and Tsukiji and stuff were all in the same little area. It never made sense to me.
Oh, and Monjayaki!
Yeah, Monjayaki was here.
It wasn't that great, but it was fun. I would definitely say ward videos are ones of my, like, some of my favorites that we make.
Yeah, it's cool. I'm glad that we picked non-standard wards too. Yeah. Like that's been fun. Like I don't think we'll ever get a chance to do all of them. I don't think it's this. There's 23, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't see that happening, but if we just keep picking ones that are a little off the beaten track, I think that's really fun.
Yep.
We get to learn about those places.
But now I've got to go to work, so bye-bye.
You're still waving?
Yeah.
Do you think anybody remembers? Like, I don't know when these will be posted. It could be a week or 2 weeks between.
I've been waving that entire time.
So we're shooting a whole bunch of these end cards all in one shot to prepare for a trip that we're going on. We're going to Borneo in like 4 or 5 days from now. So we're getting all these videos like prepared and like so they'll keep rolling while we're gone. So you're gonna see that our clothes haven't changed, but we're not scrubs. Well, you're a scrub, but it has nothing to do with your clothes not changing right now.
When did you start using the word scrub?
Today, I was thinking about, we talked about Dr. Cox a couple days ago.
Oh yeah, we did talk
now
about
it's
Dr.
like,
Cox.
it's in my head. So the video that they would have just watched on this one is going to be the second part of the Chuo-Ku video.
Which was fun.
Which is when we
fish.
Yeah, fun. You were grumpy as fuck.
I was really grumpy.
It was a weird experience.
It was a very, very strange experience.
Especially in Japan.
Yeah, it was very un-Japanese. It was very unwelcoming. It was very... Really?
I kind of enjoyed just seeing how grumpy you got, to be honest. Like,
oh, that is not true. You did not enjoy seeing how grumpy I got.
Well, when I rewatched the video,
you got to the moment where you were just like, I'm not talking to you anymore. You're just you are so grumpy that you are angering me, and I am not going down this road.
Well, when I watched the video back, I was like, man, I just watching your face, like in the video, like getting more and more stern. But it was a cool experience. I'm personally really glad we did it. It was just.
I'd rather climb Mount Fuji again.
If I had to do one of the two, I would too. I'd rather climb Mount Fuji too. But that's just so wonderful.
And when I think about how I would explain to people that situation, I would be like, you need to be prepared for like just the weirdest tourist attraction wait.
in Japan.
preparation
I mean,
in
goofier
Japan.
stuff happens
Yeah.
outside. It's just not something you expect here. But anyway,
If you like watching me be grumpy, I mean, you can definitely like, subscribe, and you can head to all of our social media and just really get involved in me being grumpy.
and if you want to support her like being grumpy at a financial level, you can check out Patreon. And that's how we afford.
That might make me less grumpy.
That's how we afford to keep the grump levels like inflated. So if you want to be part of that.
that inflates me, so therefore I'm really grumpy.
Well, I mean, if we hadn't had the Patreon support, we wouldn't have ended up making the video, and you wouldn't have been grumpy.
Yeah, that's true.
So if you want to help make Katie grumpy, then you can help support us over at Patreon. Yeah. That would be really helpful. Thank you. What was I going to say? Oh, I want to talk about the fish market. So we went to the fish market in October, I think. Was it October or November? It was a couple months, so probably October. That's when we filmed it.
I have no idea.
I think we filmed it in October. And then it is now early December. And when we were there in October, we were talking about how like we were thinking October, November. And I'm trying to second guess myself. When we were there before, we were talking about how they were thinking about closing the fish market, and it might be happening at the end of the month that we were there, and it was kind of uncertain. And then the guy gave not that interview, but when we were there, the guy talked about, the Fisher guy came out and gave everybody some information about what was going on. He was a little unclear about what was going on. So I actually just looked up the status of the fish market right before we shot this video. And the status of the fish market is it still exists in the same place, and it seems to still be operating. They haven't moved it yet. And what people were saying is that what it's looking like is they're going to move like 75% of the operation of it to this new place once it's finished with the construction, and then 25% of it is going to continue to operate where we went. And it's kind of unclear in like what facility, if it's just going to be tourism stuff, or if there's still going to be like legit, like real auctions going on and stuff. So I don't know what the future is going to be, but it does seem like it's inevitable that it's going to move. Like a big chunk of it is going to be moved. So I'm not really even clear why, because I was in the impression at one point that they were going to be like building a highway through the area, so they needed to just move the buildings or whatever. And maybe they're still going to do that, and afterwards they're going to have enough room still to have like a 25% operation or whatever. But it is going to fracture, so if you're going to go visit it, like look into the most recent information you can find to figure out like what's going to go with it. And it's possible that by the time this video airs, something else is going to have changed. I don't know. It's really, really strange. So anyway, that's where everything stands. Let's see, I got a question here from two YouTubers that had a similar question. Jonathan Blanchett and Fresh Chip both asked similar questions. Jonathan said, "What are your general tastes in literature, music, and stuff? Watching the glimpse of you in Costa Rica," talking about you, "I get the impression that Katie was somewhat of a hippie girl." He's talking about a video that we shot in 2009 when we first went on our trip around the world, and we were in Costa Rica. And I see why he says that. Her accent, the way you spoke was different, and your hair is really, really long, and you definitely have a hippie-ish vibe. And there was a bit of hippie in you, so I see what he's saying. And then a second, Fresh Chip had asked as well, what are our favorite books? So basically, what are your general tastes in literature, music, and stuffs? And if you have a favorite book.
Literature, it would be informative or instructional.
Such as?
I was telling him like instruction manuals for things.
Like you get a new TV?
Yeah, like understanding as much as you can about how those things work and using them to the best of your ability. Music, fast and messy. What was the third one?
Stuff.
Stuff? Amazing?
Like what movies and stuff? I guess, yeah.
Amazing movies?
Amazing movies?
Just good stuff.
Just stuff.
Just stuff.
Yeah.
Television, I watch trash, so...
You do watch trash.
I watch everything, so that doesn't include
She's
trash.
pounding through The Apprentice right now.
Oh my god, it is so good. I was so disappointed that my download wasn't finished. I'm trying to watch The Apprentice Season 9.
There's 9 seasons?
There's 14 seasons.
Oh my gosh. She has headphones though, and it's just I gave her a pair of like Bluetooth headphones as a gift recently, and she thinks it was a gift to her, but it was really a gift to me, so I don't have to listen to The Apprentice.
I love those headphones.
So you don't read much, but you read instruction manuals.
Yeah, I don't read
I
much.
like that's a good answer. My favorite books, I really like. I'm not much for like fiction. Fiction's the not real one, right?
Yes.
It's really weird because non-fiction sounds like the not
Yeah,
real one.
I
You
think
know
I
what
spent
mean?
a long time trying to figure that out.
So I do enjoy fiction. It's not something that like I'm opposed to or anything, but if I have to choose between like something that's fiction and something that's non-fiction, I would take the non-fiction, the documentary style like material before I would the factual thing. To me, it's just like I have a lot of reasons for it, but it's just like I like learning about things, and I think that the best stories are things that like actually happen. So like I read a bunch of books about Ernest Shackleton once. Like he wrote this book about going down to the South Pole, like, and it's this unbelievable adventure that this guy went on, and it's just like, you know, these explorers and stuff. They have really cool stories. And another I've read. At one point, I read like every like old school like NASA astronaut biographies, autobiographies. Like I read like all of them, and they're just fascinating. Like these people are going to the moon. Like those stories are unbelievable. And if you're interested in one, by far the best one in my opinion is Michael Collins' book Carrying the Fire. It's just incredible. It's an incredible book. It's really detailed, but it's really easy to read, even if you don't like understand like a lot of the technical aspects of those trips or whatever. And so he was one of the 3 guys that was the first part of the first moon landing mission. But he was the guy that didn't even land. But his book blows it out of the water any of the other books I've ever seen, even compared to people that actually walked on the moon. So yeah. Anyway, that's books. Oh, and if I had to pick a book that was fiction, then probably Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Saw that coming.
Yeah, it's hilarious. Like it's really Douglas Adams is hilarious. It's really funny. And then the last end card we talked about my trip to Russia. That's when I first read that book.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So that was like, yeah. If you're putting all this together, that was.
And I'm sure they are.
Yeah.
Nobody understands why I was waving.
People are taking notes. I know why you were waving.
That's because it was like 10 minutes ago for you.
As far as like music and stuff, we like a lot of the same music, like fast, noisy, like punk rock and stuff is what I really like. I delve into a little bit of metal sometimes. One of my favorite albums of the year is the new album by Nails. That album is amazing. It's really heavy and just like catchy, and it's just really good metal album. But I don't know. Jeff Rosenstock. How do you say his last name?
Rosenstock. Oh my god.
I don't know. I've heard it said other ways. Jeff Rosenstock's new album is really good. It got Times Album of the Year. What? It's amazing. And
wow.
Something else I guess I've listened to recently. Pup's new album was really good punk album. But I still like pop music and stuff.
I've mentioned Weezer like 4 times this year, so
yeah, you really like that new Weezer album.
That's my album of the year.
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, I tend to like kind of like things that are people like make that aren't a huge production, like they make it themselves or whatever. Like movies and stuff, documentaries. I really like documentaries. We just watched Planet Earth, the 2nd season. If you haven't seen the second series of Planet Earth, it's
Snakes,
really
dude.
good. Yeah, snakes. Oh my god. Yeah. But anyway,
snakes.
I hope that gives you guys some insight. You're not really a hippie. I don't know.
No, I don't really think I've ever been a hippie.
I mean, you kind of look like a hippie a little bit.
Yeah, but I was cute, so, you go with what you got.